Yeah, for those watching on YouTube, I did buzz my hair. I look different. You'll get used to it, I promise. I'm Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. I've got a Hall of Fame basketball player joining me today, Hall of Famer, the 1975 NBA Finals MVP for your Golden State Warriors, Rick Barry. He's going to join me in just a moment. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the motivation that quite a few Golden State Warriors players have given their in perspective contract years and whether or not that's going to actually increase their chances of repeating as world champions. We're going to talk about everything going on in Rick's life. He's going to school some of you youngsters on the greatness of Wilt Chamberlain. Kevin Durant's in the news again. I know you folks love when I talk about him, but this is actually serious because he might be joining a team that is a legitimate threat to the Warriors. So there's some relevancy here. This is going to be a great show of Locked On Warriors. NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry joins me next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, it is always such a pleasure to have a Hall of Fame basketball player on the show with me. Rick, it is such a pleasure. You can follow Hall of Famer Rick Barry on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Where are you in the world today, sir? How are you doing?
See, I had my Warriors hat on. Yeah, no, I'm proud to have been a Golden State Warrior and to have been a part of a franchise that had limited success over a very extended period of time. Before in 75, we were able to bring a championship into the Bay Area, and then it took 40 more years for it to happen again. And now it's almost like a common occurrence for him. I mean, my God, it could easily have been 6 out of the last 8 seasons championships, the 2 that they missed out on. I mean, no question about it. If Clay and if Clay and Kevin didn't get hurt, there's no way Toronto's going to win that series. Okay. So there's one. And then if it weren't for the wonderful decision on the part of the NBA to suspend Draymond Green for what happened in that game, which we've talked about ad infinitum. I mean, anyway, those of you who hadn't heard it before, LeBron James should have been called for a flagrant foul when he threw Draymond down to the court and stepped over him. If that had happened, Draymond doesn't respond. He plays. There's no way they lose. And then they shot themselves in the foot with nothing but 3-point shots in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I've said this so many times, maybe the worst 4 minutes and 20 seconds of a game 7 in the NBA Finals history. Warriors did nothing but shoot 3-point shots, and they died with it. So just a great, great job that, Joe Lacob and Peter Guber have done with the people that they've hired and the players that they've brought in. And they're really reminding me kind of what the Lakers were able to do with Showtime in the 80s and what the Spurs did over a long period of time, constantly having a team that was extremely competitive. And the only thing that happened those 2 years when KD left, obviously they had to try to regroup and get their act together, and they made some great choices. And we can talk about it. Some of the great Jordan Poole. I mean, look what he's turned into. Remember when he first came up? I remember I said, what the hell is he doing? He's taking the worst freaking shots and everything. But to his credit, they sent him down. I think it was the greatest thing they did to send him down to that G League, to the G League. And wow, I mean, he made the most of that, got some confidence, turned himself into a very valuable commodity for the Warriors, and who'll be there hopefully for many years to come. And then, you got Moody, who I think is going to become a nice player for them. They've done a really nice job. And we still have Wiseman that we're all concerned with. He's like the unknown entity. Okay. What is Wiseman going to do for the Warriors in the future? They found a way to win the championship without him. What can they do as far as maybe defending with him? It's an interesting situation that exists, but man, credit goes out to the entire organization and what they've done in order to keep this team together. And this is the idea. You got to bring in little pieces. It's like playing a little, like a jigsaw puzzle. You got to get the right pieces, put them in the right spot, kind of a little bit like a chess match, if you want to use an analogy. You got to make the right move. Somebody does this, you got to counter with that.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun to see that happening. And the Warriors have done a terrific job with it. And, very impressed with a bunch of those guys. And, and then Kuminga, another guy, throw him into the equation as well. I mean, the Warriors they got a lot of talent. And if these guys just keep their head together, please don't try to do more than is being asked of you to do. Accept what your role is. If you keep that great team mentality going forward, you got a chance to win some more championships. No question about it.
Oh, Rick, that was all just poetry right there. I want to mention, by the way, I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. I'm joined by Hall of Famer Rick Barry. Let's talk about this Warriors roster. The Warriors essentially traded Gary Payton II, Otto Porter Jr., and Nemanja Bjelica. And what they got back in return is Dante DiVincenzo, JaMychal Green, and James Wiseman, because Wiseman did not play a minute last year, and he's probably going to be taking that Bjelica role. Based on that swap, coupled with another year of experience and development for Kuminga and Moody, are the Warriors, how do they compare last year to this year? I don't think they're better now. They might be, but your thoughts on the comparison between the two teams?
Well, it's all going to be predicated on what these other guys do that you just mentioned, how well they fit in, what level of play they bring to the table. And, as I say, the unknown entity is Wiseman. I mean, Wiseman could be a huge factor for them. I mean, he showed tremendous potential, tall, athletic, run, nice shooting form. If he develops into the kind of player that I think he has the potential of becoming, they'll be a better team. Just with him alone. Because the other guy that I think is going to get there, who really didn't get a lot of chance to do, is Moody. I think he has a chance to be a really nice player for the Warriors. So that's good. The other guys don't know, because what they did where they were is meaningless. What are they going to do in the roles that are given to them by Steve Kerr in this upcoming season? So we'll see how that plays itself out. But without question, Wiseman is the X factor.
Oh yeah, that's fascinating. And you have your own show, the Rick Barry Show, which is available on all podcast platforms. Rick Barry's House is on YouTube. You now have a live show, part of the Mic'd Up app that people can just download. If you download Mic'd Up, Rick and I do live shows there before his programs are republished on other platforms. And you brought up,
but let's tell the people. Sorry to interrupt you. Let's tell people it's MIC''D up. Mic'd Up, MIC''D UP. Check it out, because I'm going to be starting throwing a bunch of stuff up there. In fact, we just got done doing a show together, and we'll be doing a bunch of things on that as well. It's an interesting thing, and it's just a matter of how immersed I would want to make myself into it. I can kind of do my own reality show using the technology that they have. It might be some fun, because I get to do a lot of cool things in my life. I'm very fortunate in that. And so I have the ability to be able to take it and throw it up on Mic'd Up. So you may have a bunch of really interesting things that, well, they might not be interesting to you, but they're interesting to me because it's my life.
I think everything. So for people that don't know, every time I contact you when we're setting up like a new show or just chatting, you're always somewhere different. You're either at like an autograph signing, you're at this golf tournament, you're surrounded by the most interesting people ever. Your life is a reality show. Here's one thing I absolutely love when I'm hearing you talking about this. To me, there is such a great joy in seeing someone find a great fit for something they want to do. Mic'd Up sounds like a great fit for you. This sounds like a platform. The format is just you on your iPad or your phone. You can start recording anytime you want. Like I said, I'll join you anytime you need me, but you're going to be in a lot of places where it's going to be you surrounded by a lot of other very high profile individuals. So again, just Mic'd Up, MIC''D UP, Mic'd Up is how you can see Rick Barry and all his adventures. I think that's a great way to describe it. It's going to be your reality show. It's going to be your life. And you are an interesting individual, sir. There's no doubt about that.
I don't know how excited my wife will be if I start including her in some of this stuff.
You might like it. She might actually like it, right? You never know.
It's fun. Life is good. I thank God every day, and hopefully, listen, everybody should have the life I have. I mean, even though I never heard the word million in my contract negotiations, life's been pretty damn good to me.
Well, let's also, a lot of people when they ask me to go, wait, you actually know Rick Barry and you do a show with Rick Barry? And I tell people, I would love nothing more than just have a sliver of your DNA, because your progeny is incredible. But you have an amazingly talented and beautiful wife, Tell people about her, because she's also rooted in basketball, and she might be a part of of the Rick Barry show, especially now that you're on Mic'd Up. Tell us about your lovely wife, Lynn. Tell everyone her background.
Well, just an incredible person. I mean, I'm really, like they say, sometimes you get out of your own league. Well, I'm out of my league with her. I've overaccomplished and overachieved finding her, and it took me 5 years to break her down, and I had a lot of baggage to overcome, and fortunately I persevered. I used all of the great qualities I had to help make me the player that I was, to be able to win her over. And she's given me just an amazing young son, my son Canyon, who's great. But my wife is incredible athlete. If my wife had gone into tennis, she would have been a world-class tennis player. I mean, just an incredible athlete. She's a great pickleball player. Everybody wants her to play, but she doesn't want to do it because she's had knee surgeries and stuff and just doesn't want to beat herself up that much. But the only woman to have her jersey retired at her alma mater, William & Mary, academic first team All-America 2 times. In fact, that's one of the things I'm proud of stuff. She and my son were the only mother and son combination in the history of NCAA Division I basketball where the mother and son have been 2-time first team academic All-Americas. My son Canyon was the academic All-America Player of the Year in his last year when he was down in Florida. But still brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Fortunately for Canyon, he took after her in that regard. So that's worked out really well for him. But just an amazing athlete. In fact, actually, when we were dating, I took her up to the Catskills and you on a trip to go up and, just have a fun time. They have all kinds of activities. So we actually got into the gym. And so we went out, we were playing the game. Those of you who know basketball, around the world. And we were playing around the world, and she was actually kicking my ass. And here's the thing: is she got to the top of the key, where you shoot it from, and then she went to go and do college. I said, no. This is, you're playing an NBA player. It has to be an NBA distance 3-point shooter, not a college 3-point shot. Okay, and so it was a little bit out of her range, and I was able to recover and come back and actually beat her coming from way behind. But I love that. That's what I love about her. I told her that's what I love. My wife is just an amazing person, smart, intelligent, beautiful, just an amazing athlete. So an amazing person. So very, very fortunate. And she deserves so much credit for making our son into what he is today. I told my son, I said, I hope you understand, son, how lucky you are to have a mother like you have. I said, and don't you ever forget that. I said, she is, you wouldn't be who you are today if it weren't for your mother. So yeah, she's awesome. Anyway, it's cool. And
I look, behind every great man is a great woman. I do believe that.
Just about Billy Crystal, she makes me a better person. She's made me a better person. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in just a moment, you mentioned Jordan Poole a moment ago. The Golden State Warriors are in an interesting situation where a year from now, they're going to have a lot of big decisions to make. And I'm going to pick your brain about that in terms of the impact that's going to have on the players this year. First, I got to talk about a longtime sponsor of this program, Rocket Money, which is formerly known as Truebill. So why did Truebill change its name to Rocket Money? We'll tell you what we heard. Truebill, now backed by Rocket Companies, has grown from a bill management app into a full-on personal finance empowerment tool that helps over 3.4 million people with budgeting, lowering bills, canceling subscriptions, and more, saving each of their members on average $700 a year. I've tried it. I discovered a lot of subscriptions I was wasting money on. And thanks to Truebill, and which is now known as Rocket Companies, I saved over $1,000. The bottom line is that Rocket Money is everything I've loved about Truebill, but with a fresh look and feel. Start canceling your unused subscriptions and save money at rocketmoney.com/lockedonnba. Again, that's rocketmoney.com/lockedonnba, or download the app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. You can follow Rick Barry, Hall of Famer, 1975 NBA Finals MVP for the Golden State Warriors, on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Although you're apparently having issues with your Instagram account, I'll try to resolve that for you soon. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. The Warriors have a lot of decisions to make a year from now. Jordan Poole will likely be a restricted free agent. Andrew Wiggins will be an unrestricted free agent. Draymond Green might exercise his player option, opt out of his contract. I'm sorry, not exercise his player option, get out of his contract and seek a new big deal. Klay Thompson is 2 years away from being an unrestricted free agent. James Wiseman is in a position where if he doesn't play good this year, the Warriors might just cut him loose because he's owed $12 million next year. The point is, those are 5 names. And then you have a player, even more. Dante DiVincenzo will be a free agent after this year. JaMychal Green will be a free agent after this year. The point is, these are a lot of players who are in contract years. And as someone who's one of the greatest to ever play this game, how does that impact your psyche as a player? I know this is probably an obvious question, but I still love to get your insights on what to expect from all these great players who are going to be incentivized to get new big contracts. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I can't relate to it because they're making money that I, in my wildest dreams, would ever have dreamed that I could make that kind of money. You just said James Wiseman's going to get $12 million. Well, shit, that's $12 million. That's a whole hell of a lot more than I made in my entire 14-year career in one freaking season. So how do I relate to that? I can't. Okay. So I totally cannot relate to it. The other factor is that it's impossible for me to be able to say what impact that's going to have on them being in the situation that they're in, where their performance will dictate perhaps just what kind of a deal they're going to need to be able to get and what is going to be for their future. So they're so fortunate as basketball players, young men, to have this amazing opportunity in front of them. So hopefully it should be a positive for the Warriors, because you would assume and pray, if I'm Joe Lacob and the owner and Peter Guber, that these guys are going to want to bust their hump and do anything they can to be able to have a great season, win another championship, and be part of success, which success breeds success. You help the team and you perform and do well, that just increases your value. And in this case, it's worth multi-millions of dollars, perhaps more, to all of them. So if they're intelligent at all, they're going to give everything that they have this season to be the best player and team player that they can to help the Warriors be successful again, to help further their career. Then God only knows what may happen, because I don't know if Joe Lacob, they want to spend that much money and get all of the extra luxury tax and everything else they would have to possibly pay. It's going to be very interesting. So guys, please understand the situation that you're in. Give everything. Well, first of all, you should be doing that regardless of how much money you're making. Okay. Then shouldn't matter. You should have great personal pride in everything you do and always give your best effort in everything you do in life, and feel good about yourself and sleep well at night knowing you gave your best freaking effort. Hopefully that's the case. If they do that, the Warriors could be in great shape. But then it's just a matter of how well do they perform.
There you go. And again, I think that just helps their title chances to repeat as world champions. You know, Rick, we were talking on your show, the Rick Barry Show. And again, if you can follow that on, you find your show on all podcast platforms. You can download the Mic'd Up app. Again, it's MIC''D UP to get live versions of your show, and also recorded ones there as well. And on YouTube as well, at Rick Barry's house. You know, I'm curious to know, we talked about this on your show, but I'd love to hear it again for the Locked On audience. Your 1975 World Championship team, you were the only all-star on that team. And I need to do my research to see what other championship teams only had one all-star. I'm sure there's a few of them out there, but not a lot. You know, you've said that your 75 title team was the greatest upset ever. You beat a Washington Bullets team that was heavily favored, and you swept them. But you also love to give your teammates credit. Describe your role in that 75 team, and then also talk about the documentary. What's the latest news on that? Is it coming out soon? Give us information, please.
Well, first of all, the team epitomized what the game is supposed to be about: team, right? No individual stuff. I always tell people, when you go play on a team sport, you need to take your ego and you stick your ego in the freaking closet for 6, 7, 8 months, however long it's going to be, because it's no longer about you. It's about the team. What can you do to help this team achieve success? And sometimes it requires sacrifice on your part, but you have to be willing to do that and accept the role that's given to you by the coaching staff. And when that happens, it's incredibly gratifying. I mean, to this day, I have not been able to find words adequate enough to describe the emotion I was overcome with. It was kind of like when I got to watch some of my children being born. How do you use words to describe when you're watching this incredible thing, a human being that you helped to create is coming into life? You can't, words just are not adequate for that. I mean, you can't describe feelings like that adequately. And that's the way it was for me winning the championship. And so I'm always eternally grateful to my teammates, because it never would have happened if it weren't for them. And so I'm so grateful that, and to give him credit, Charles Dudley was working on this. I was trying to get something done. I've been for years trying to work and get the right group of people together. And Charles Dudley, the Hoppers, started some things up, and he had already gotten some interviews done. And I said, Hop, it's fine. I said, I'll be a part of it. I don't need to do what I was trying to do. I said, but there's only one premise that is critical to me. This is not going to be a story about me. This is going to be a story about the Golden State Warriors basketball team, to give the credit to all of the players who are a part of that accomplishment. And hopefully that's what's going to be done. Interviews have all been taking place. I was able to add a lot of things. I have one of my prized possessions. I have Bill King, who I still think is, Vince Scully just passed away, one of the, absolutely, great baseball announcers of all time.
Yeah.
But Bill King has to be one of the greatest sports announcers in the history of professional sports in the United States of America. I don't know if there's been another broadcaster who was so proficient and so outstanding doing the three major sports: football, baseball, and basketball. And he has no peers when it comes to basketball. He was unbelievable. And so Bill kept basically a diary, all the stats, every single game. He would write things down, stats, his opinions, what happened, blah, blah, blah. I have the championship season. I had asked him, I said, Bill, he's a little older than I was. And I said, could I someday, if, doing something, could I get that, championship year thing and all? And he said, yeah, that'd be great, Rick. Well, it turns out I didn't get the original, but whoever was involved with him, family, friends, whoever it was who has it, made a copy. I have a copy of that the full season. So it was great to be able to go through it. And I went through that with the producer of the show and was able to come up with things that took place that, it's almost like reliving the season for me. It's not all on video, but it was so cool. And so a lot of that information was not transferred, but I gave it to the producer. And so I'm excited about it, and it's coming along. I'm sure they'll probably wind up doing something with it. Maybe not by the end of the season, but certainly by next year when they get everything together. I'm hoping that I can get a hold of Joe Lacob and Peter Guber and ask them to do something really special with it and have the premiere and have it be done and do it at the arena
Center. Yeah, absolutely.
At Chase Center. And then have the fans to be able to come in and have it up on the screen and bring the guys that are still here and make it into a big, big party thing. I think that would be the greatest way to have this shown for the first time after so many years, almost 50 years later. My God. Yeah. And that's my goal, to try to have it happen and have that take place, sometime within the next season. So, and I think Joe and Peter will maybe go for that. I don't know. I would think some sponsors would want to do it. Get behind it, make it into a really cool, you want to talk about having a pool party, we'll have a real Warriors party for the first championship team for the Warriors in the Bay Area, and have this documentary be shown and have the premiere in Chase Center.
Well, that sounds, because you're right. They have that huge, I forgot what they call that area outside, but they have that massive Jumbotron that people were watching the playoffs outside when the team was on the road. That would be such an incredible setting for your documentary. I can't, any inkling as to when we can see this?
I don't know. He said it's coming along really well, but I think they want to make sure everything is done properly. It's a matter of, obviously getting the right footage, choosing which footage wants to be done. It's a big undertaking when you're doing it. And I would think that the time to do it would be next year sometime after Super Bowl, after the football season's done. We don't have any conflicts. It's just the NBA and hockey, right, going on mainly, and of the major sports. And so, so I'm hoping that'll take place sometime, sometime the beginning part of next year, maybe late January, something before All-Star, or doing after All-Star, right after All-Star, early beginning of March, before you get to the playoffs, a time when there's not anything to really detract from it.
And let's hope you all get a nice payout from this, and maybe there's some bidding war between like Netflix and Hulu and ESPN.
I don't think anybody's looking to make any money. Hopper may make some money doing off of, which God bless him, good for him, whatever it is. I don't think the guys are looking to be making any money. We just wanted to have the story told. I just want to see the story out there. I just want to see my teammates get the recognition they deserve, because that's what the game's about. It's about a team, and that's always the most special thing. That's the only thing you'll see.
Oh, for those of you watching the YouTube feed, Rick just showed his 1975 championship ring, which you've given me the honor of letting me try that thing on twice. It's huge, by the way.
No, it's not huge. This is like minuscule. It's minuscule compared to the Warriors. I think the Warriors ring, championship rings that they have, it's more. They're worth more money than I made in my first season playing, and maybe it's no doubt about it that the ring, cost more than that I made in my whole first season playing basketball.
Oh, what a point of pride. Congratulations on everything. Before we go, on a relevant note, we talked about this on your show as well, the Rick Barry Show. I just want to rehash it here because it's in the news. Word broke out this morning that the Memphis Grizzlies are a potential suitor for Kevin Durant, a player that I know the audience loves for me to talk about. I'm saying that facetiously. But the Grizzlies reportedly are offering 5 first-round picks, but they will not offer Jalen Jackson Jr. Did I say that right? Is it Jaren Jackson Jr.? I'm sorry. And also Desmond Bane. Those 2 players are reportedly off limits in any trade talks. So you and I were talking, saying without those 2, who knows if a trade could happen? Regardless, let's say it does. Are the Grizzlies the favorites in the West? Like, where do they compare to the Warriors if the Grizzlies somehow land Kevin Durant without giving up the farm for him?
I don't know if it makes them the favorites. I mean, I'm sure that they'll probably pick some players to take off the team. Then they got to replace those guys. And then it's also, what's the chemistry going to be like? And the biggest factor for that one is Ja Morant willing to do what Steph Curry did? And Ja Morant was not the MVP of the league 2 times in a row. Is Ja Morant going to be willing to let Kevin Durant come in and be the guy like Steph Curry allowed him to be here? Okay. So to say that they would be, no, they will certainly be a team to be reckoned with, no question. And it all depends upon what players do go, because they may take some players and trade them off to somebody else. And so it's going to break up their team. And so now how does that fit together? There's so many variables when you do something of that nature. So, but I doubt that it will happen, because why in the world did the Nets want to go and take, have 5 first-round draft picks doing it? How long is it going to take you to build a team off of that? What kind of team are you going to have next year? I mean, seriously. And being back in the New York area, they'll get crucified if they don't make a deal that brings in somebody to keep them, at the top to be a team to contend in the Eastern Conference. The New York media will eat them alive.
What are your thoughts on Kyrie Irving? I don't know if I ever picked your brain about him. Like, based on everything he's done, he's obviously got talent offensively. But what are your thoughts on Kyrie Irving? Like, do you like him? Do you like what he's all his actions?
I don't know Kyrie Irving as a person, so I can't really tell you. He's done things that you question. What is he thinking about? I mean, I always question somebody like Kyrie Irving. Why would you not want to stay and play with? You just had a chance. You won a championship. You played with freaking LeBron James. Why do you want to leave? I mean, the same thing, Kevin Durant. I mean, God bless him, and I love him as a player, and I had the pleasure of getting to meet him and have great respect for him in that regard. And you have to do what you need to do in life, but I just don't understand why. Why would I would never want to leave. I give up my part of my salary, a significant portion, to be able to stay with the Warriors. The money shouldn't even be a factor. To be with a team that can be one of the greatest teams in the history of the sport that you play in, win multiple championships, know that you have so many great guys who are great players who play the game the right way and who gave you a chance to show people how great a player you are and sacrifice themselves and didn't care that you were the guy. I mean, my God, what more do you want out of life as an athlete? I mean, it's just the greatest thing in the world. And so it always astonishes me. And Kyrie falls into that case, that situation as well. Again, I don't know him as a person, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who he is off the court. Just like the same way, I always used to joke about, say, what do you think of Dennis Rodman and doing everything? Who, by the way, is going over to try to see if he can get Brittany Griner out of Russia, which would be interesting. That's a whole nother story. But so I said, you know what? I have a real problem, with Dennis. I mean, seriously, I don't know if I could deal with it if he was on my team, because, sometimes the lipstick that he wore kind of clashed with the color of the dress. And that really bothered me a lot. Okay. But as far as basketball, Who cares what he does? Who cares if he does this crazy stuff off the court? The guy was a beast. He played tough defense. He rebounded. I only care about what do you do when you're over there between those black lines and you have the same uniform on that I have. That's all I cared about when I had teammates. It didn't matter. They didn't have to like me. I didn't have to like them. I just needed to respect the way they played the game.
Well, we'll finish on this note, sir, because a lot of people today don't seem to understand just how dominant and how great of a player Wilt Chamberlain was. You played against him. You knew him. Tell the world, especially the younger audience, and myself, I never saw him, but I've heard you say such amazing things about him. I've seen the videos. There's no doubt in my mind he would have dominated today's game. What are your thoughts on Wilt Chamberlain, and how dominant was he as a player?
There's never been as dominant a force offensively as Wilt Chamberlain. There never will be. There's not a chance in the world. They say records are made to be broken, that anybody will break the record of averaging 50 points a game for an NBA season. People, that is so beyond comprehension. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'd have to figure out a way to score 13 or 14 more points a game for an entire 82-game schedule to be able to score 50 points a game. What, are you kidding me? Most guys in their career can't average 13 or 14 points a game in one season. Okay? Seriously. The guy was unbelievable. And so I'm looking forward to doing an interview as part of the documentary for Wilt. They're going to have, I think, 3 one-hour shows that they're putting together. And hopefully people who really were not that familiar with Wilt Chamberlain will watch it and have a true appreciation for just what an amazing athlete he was and just how dominant a player that he was. As far as I'm concerned, there isn't anyone who dominated his time offensively, especially. And he was a hell of a defensive player, blocking shots. They didn't have those stats back in those days. He averaged 22 and a half rebounds a game for his career. Just think of that. 22.5. Seriously. So anyway, I'm not comparing them to, say, Shaq and Kareem and stuff. In their eras, those guys were great doing it. Olajuwon, whoever you want to talk about, you can have all the talks you want to, but just compare the guys during their time to the guys during their time. And as amazing as he was, because here's the thing, as amazing as he was back in those days, it's scary to think what he might have been able to do if he had all of the technology as far as the training regimen and the eating habits and everything else that these guys have available to him. If Wilt Chamberlain had those, I know how much better I would have been. I can't even imagine how much better Wilt Chamberlain might have been if he had all of those things available. It's just, he was a one-of-a-kind player. And when they say, Rick Barry, greatest Warrior, no. I might, you might be able to go ahead and talk about it and do stuff as far as, a small forward, whoever it may be. But then, the greatest point guard to ever play for the Warriors is Steph Curry, without question, Wilt Chamberlain. And as much as I love Nate Thurmond, and as great as Nate Thurmond was, Wilt Chamberlain is ahead of Nate. I mean, it's the reality of it. Nate was super great. So those are the kind of discussions you can have, but don't be comparing Wilt Chamberlain to Shaquille O'Neal or to Kareem or whatever it may be. All I'm saying is everything were together and everybody were playing at the same time and had all of the same availability for training and things of that nature. And you put them all together. It's hard for me to believe that anybody would be better than Wilt Chamberlain in the center position.
Is it fair to say the all-time Warriors starting five is Steph, Clay, you, Draymond, Wilt? Does that sound good?
No, it'd pretty hard not to, it'd be pretty hard because he did play a couple of years. Pretty hard not to have Kevin Durant.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this will replace Draymond with Durant then. How does that sound? As good as Draymond is, I'm not taking you off. I'm taking Clay over Draymond. So I don't, I guess he's the odd man out. But
Draymond is a unique person. I mean, there's not been many players that play the game the way that he plays and have the versatility that he does. But the thing is, he doesn't give you the offense because he's not a shooter. He's not that kind of a guy. He does the intangibles. To me, he would be a perfect guy to have as your sixth man.
There you go. There you go. And again, all the stuff I'm going to list off.
Let's not forget there's a lot of other great players out there as well. Let's not forget, Chris Mullin. I mean, what a guy bring. Hey, what'd you do? If I was coaching and doing something, I'd bring Chris Mullin in. And what you do is you run plays to get Chris Mullin as many shots as you can. You let him shoot the ball and do the things that he does because he was a great player himself. And a lot of the other guys that were great. I mean, just think about the reserves that you would have. You got Timmy Hardaway and Mitch Richmond, and you got. I mean, there's just a lot of great players that have been a part of the Warriors' history.
Absolutely. And before we go, I'm gonna promote everything. You fill in the blanks on what I've missed. You have a new show. Well, the Rick Barry Show is now on Mic'd Up. Again, download the app, MIC' up, Mic'd Up for all live broadcasts of Rick Barry's show. And then you can go there as well for the recordings, or the Rick Barry Show is available on all podcast platforms. You're also on YouTube. Just go to Rick Barry's house. Really, you can find all this stuff, but just by searching Rick Barry. You can follow Rick Barry on social media at Rick24Barry. What am I forgetting, sir?
Well, no, it's just that all of the mic'd up stuff won't necessarily be live. I mean, there'd be some stuff that I'll just go and I might, a lot of it might be, but some of the stuff, because if I don't have good internet service and doing stuff, like I'm going to be going down to go peacock bass fly fishing in the Amazon. Okay. I don't think that the reception is going to be really good in the middle of the Amazon. So I may record a bunch of stuff and do that. And then when I get back and I have my Wi-Fi, I'll be able to go ahead and utilize that and do it. So everything that won't necessarily be live. And then a lot of the stuff we'll be able to let people know ahead of time, because this is another part of it that's fun, is that on the mic'd up situation, when you know and you follow it, you'll have some things where we'll be telling you when we're going to be coming up. And so you'll have the ability to come in and to send questions.
Oh, there you go. So you can interact and engage with Hall of Famer Rick Barry.
Yes. Yeah, when we're live, you'll know ahead of time. And so you can have that, do that. And we'll try to answer questions and, pick and choose what we're getting. So if you send something stupid in, we're liable to ignore it. And so we'll have some fun with that as well. So anyway, Cyrus, always great. Love talking about my favorite team. Of course, people say, who's your favorite team? I said, you're serious, right? You're asking me who's my favorite team? I said, what do you think is my favorite team?
Orlando Magic, of course. Orlando Magic all day.
Well, yeah, exactly. Orlando Magic. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, listen, everybody, God bless. Keep up the great work that you're doing. And looking forward to having fun with our new mic'd up.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And of course, your favorite team is the Golden State Warriors. Joe Lacob forever owes you for that 2012 save during Chris Mullin's retirement ceremony. I don't think he'll ever forget that, sir. You did an amazing job supporting an owner that is spearheading a dynasty. It's incredible. Rick, always a pleasure. You are a tremendous human being, sir. I love you. And we'll talk soon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.